What was that? Keys to the game? Oh. All right, well, we'll get started here. Good afternoon, everybody. Happy Canada Day. Thanks for spending it with us down here in the bowels of Rexall. I think, I'd be really remiss if I didn't first speak of Sam Gagner and thank him for, his incredible level of professionalism since he became an Edmonton Oiler. I think we all know in this business that you're at times forced to lose or trade good people, and one thing we can all agree on is that Sam was definitely one of those people. He was a great leader with our team, and on a personal note, it was a very difficult deal for me, but you are forced to do those things in this business, and I wish him and of course Rachel very, very well. They're getting married in another couple of weeks, so it was a maybe tough timing for Sam as well, but an incredible professional. I guess I'll go over a few of our acquisitions that I haven't spoken about at this point. Teddy Purcell was we added a lot of size here in the last 2 or 3 days. Teddy Purcell is a guy that I've liked for quite some time. He had an incredible playoff run with Tampa a few years ago. He's got size, he's got skill, he can move the puck, and I think he's going to fit in very well with the group that we have and complement the group that we have. We set out in this UFA pursuit with 2 targets in mind. One was Mark Fane, and the other was Benoit Pouliot. And it was really a collaboration of an effort between management, the coaches, and our current players that led us to attract and ultimately sign these players. And those 2 players, right from the outset, right when we were in Philadelphia, were the 2 players that we focused our attention on. We met with the agents in Philadelphia. We made a case for our situation here in Edmonton. I think obviously it was a compelling story for them, as it is for me to tell. The situation is very much improving here, in spite of the fact that the results have lagged certainly last year. But it was a compelling enough situation that at the end of the day we were able to quickly react to these players, and I thank the players, our players and current players that were involved in this recruitment, as I do the coaching staff, and I think they're going to all have a great impact on our team. They all have size. Nikita Nikitin is another guy that has great size, and then later on in the day we were able to add Keith Ollie, who's we feel that has an opportunity to be one of the players on a 1-year deal that really enhances his value through this period. And we were looking at Benoit, we're looking at Anton Strawman and all these players that had come in the year before and really added all this market value to their ability. Benoit in particular was in New York and was on a $1.5 million deal, or slightly less than that, and then he commands this price, as did Anton Strawman. And I think Keith Ollie has that ability. Dwayne Sutter on our staff was a real advocate of bringing him in, and we think that he's got an opportunity because of his age and his skill set to have a significant impact on our team. I think that addresses most of the things that we've done. We talked about Leon Draisaitl at the draft, so I'll leave it to any questions that you folks might have.
All right, Craig. You've added wingers, you've added defensemen. One of the concerns that I think we're all getting via Twitter and with the shows and writers and everything is just the center position, the depth at center. Just your thoughts on where that's at right now, Bob?
Well, we didn't address all of our needs today. We still feel ideally we'd like to be able to add a centerman. I didn't foresee Sam playing center on our team this year. We'd kind of tried to make that transition to put Sam on the wing if we went through the summer with Sam. I think the addition, the one thing I will say about center is that Leon Draisaitl is an element that we did add in the draft that we think is going to fill that position for a long time. We do have some depth there, but they're young, developing players, and any decision regarding Leon or any of those young players will be made strictly based on what the best situation is for the player and not what's best for the team. We've got, right now we have Mark Arcabello, we've got Anton Lander, we've got Boyd Gordon, and of course Nugent Hopkins in those positions now. Now you can draw all your conclusions, all your own conclusions based on what my strategy may be going forward, and we're hopeful that we can do something and add a piece, a centerpiece to what we've done already. But you know, these things aren't always guaranteed, but we'll be trying to do something in that regard.
Craig, would it be a center that more offensive-minded center, or are you okay with somebody that's maybe more of a two-way game and you mix him up with Gordon?
Well, both are really possible, and I think both are probable. We've talked about how we want to build our team going forward. We want 3 offensive lines, and we want a line probably centered by Boyd Gordon that can start much like Chicago was built. That you have another line that you can start predominantly in the defensive zone, and then you've got 3 possession lines or 3 lines that you can count on for offense. So I think any of those situations is we're not in such a need offensively up the middle that we have to get an offensive centerman. We feel like Nugent Hopkins is going to fill that admirably, and we're also you know, a more versatile center would fit in that piece too as well.
In terms of not getting a center today, is it just, you know, the price is too high, there's nobody that you like enough?
Well, a little bit of that. I think, you know, after we had the signings of today, it was time to reflect a little bit and settle down and then come in tomorrow. We've made a few calls to forward and implement our strategy in that regard going forward, but it's hard to say whether it's going to fit tomorrow, a week from now, September or October.
In terms of the big picture, can you just generalize on what you accomplished in the last 3 or 4 days in terms of size, in terms of toughness, in terms of puck possession seems to be a factor in all this, and how this compares to what you accomplished last year, and how much closer you think this puts your hockey club to being playoff?
Well, we're now starting to really focus on individual needs, and with Mark Fane, it brings us a guy that really makes simple plays with the puck, but he makes them highly effectively, and he's a very good defender. So I think he fits in to that role. Benoit Pouliot was maybe, in our minds, our most important add because we needed somebody with speed. We've talked about size. We've talked about increasing our competitiveness, and he's a guy that tracks the puck very well and pressures the puck very well. He's a great skater, and we really felt as a group that we needed to add that element. So he's added that element. Teddy Purcell has got a lot of skill, so he's gonna score some goals for us. So it won't entirely rest on the shoulders of Taylor Hall, although he's very capable of it. Taylor Hall, Nugent Hopkins, and Jordan Eberle. We haven't touched the core group that we left the end of the year with, and we've added what we think is a much more well-rounded complement to those players with size and speed and puck pursuit and so forth.
Did you change your strategy at all this year, Craig, in terms of, I mean, it seems like you identified targets really early with McKeaton, were aggressive in getting it done with these other 2. Your strategy any different this year, maybe in years past you've been part of it, where?
I think it's always the same for me. It's what you want to accomplish and how you're going to get that done and how much you're going to pay for it. And, you know, the window that we got on Nikita was a very important one in my mind for a 5th-round pick. I don't think we were able to sign that player if we don't get that window. We paid a decent price for him, but ultimately we get the player. It was an area that we talked about all year long, about trying to improve our defense. When you look at the makeup of our defense now, it looks like a NHL defense, which it didn't always last year. So that was you know, part of the decisions that you make on trying to being able to carry out your strategic plan.
Craig, some people might question the term on the 2 defensemen, on Nikita and Fane, and even Pouliot, the length of that term. Is that the price that they were commanding, or?
Well, Nikitin is a short term. Nikitin is a 2-year deal. Fane, he's a 28-year-old defenseman with great character. So I mean, they asked for a shorter term. Mark asked for a shorter term, but you know, we felt like he really fit into what we're trying to build here with his character and the way that he plays. He's just a real solid player, a solid person. So we were happy with the term with Mark. With Benoit, it was a more, I would say, a competitive marketplace. For Benoit was very competitive. So at the end of the day, we were forced, not forced, but we were faced with the decision on whether we were going to lose the player or whether we'd go for an extra year. And it was, at the end of the day, a pretty easy decision. He's a young guy. He's a developing player. I think that, you know, there's every reason to expect that he's going to have significant impact. I remember we were having the same conversation about Boyd paying, you know, what we paid for Boyd last year, but this year it doesn't seem like a big contract. And one thing I know for sure is it always gets more and more expensive. And if what we're hearing about the salary cap is true and it's going to continue to escalate, I think the term is less scary. I think the term ultimately is an asset. And if it doesn't fit or doesn't work out, you have the ability to move that asset.
You've made significant change in the roster since you've taken over the team. There's a lot of veteran guys that moved, like Barkov-Hansky, coaches moved after a very short time. Did you know that there was going to be that much change necessary when you took over, and how hard was it to make some of those tough moves?
Well, I knew immediately that there was a lot of change that had to occur. I was hoping that there wouldn't have been this dismantlement this year at the end of the year, but it takes time to transition your team from an unsuccessful performing group to a high performance group. And I think through the course of the last 13 or 14 months, we've made some pretty good strides there, not the least of which will be the development of the guys that we had brought in and drafted and are in the process of developing into stars. But, you know, I think all these moves are going to be go a long ways to addressing a serious shortcoming in our on-ice performance, and I think we can expect to be much better next year. I certainly do.
How much of a priority was it, Craig, I mean, if you look at your roster before the last couple of weeks, guys like Clefbaum, Merentz, maybe even Nurse, Draisaitl, they kind of had to fit in the spots. Whereas now, you go out and get guys that give you options if they're not ready. How much of a priority was letting them marinate a little if you have to?
Well, ultimately, you have to, your actions have to be congruent with what you're talking about and speaking about. And we've talked about these players having the time to develop and doing the best thing for those players, not what's necessarily best for the hockey club based on our personal selfish needs. I think we've got to have a longer term view of this on how we develop players, and we've got to be in a position as an organization, and we haven't been, because we have been so undermanned and undermined. But now we're in a position that we're getting more and more depth, so we're able to let the players decide whether they're ready to play. and that's an important step.
What have you seen, Craig, in Pouliot's game? He's been, I think, 16s. He's the fourth overall pick, if I'm not mistaken. A lot of teams gave him an opportunity. They thought they would be the team that he would finally kind of settle in. What about his game tells you he sort of figured it out?
Well, we've done a fair bit of homework on Benoit, as you might expect when our level of interest is as high as what it obviously is. We feel like he's a guy that's really grown and developed through his experiences in the league. And he provides a very necessary skill set to our hockey club. We need people that are competitive and get to pucks quickly. We need guys that close gaps quickly. And he's a guy that's really gone from a bit of an enigma early on in his professional career to a guy whose calling card is really work ethic. And when you mention his skill level, he was the 4th overall pick, so it starts with a pretty impressive fundamental base of skill set that we think has room to flourish and room to grow as well with opportunity. And he had a very vital role in the New York Rangers' success this year. And we're hopeful that he continues to evolve and grows as a player and provides the same value to our team.
Craig, you're improving fairly clearly with respect to the team you have been recently. How would you evaluate the gap between this team and your competition, particularly in the West?
Well, I think there's plenty of room to make up still. I think that, when you look at the moves that Anaheim's made, the moves that Vancouver has made, which have been impressive, the position that Los Angeles is in, having won the Stanley Cup, these teams, and San Jose for that matter, is a very strong team as well. These teams are clearly in a different place than what we are. But our window, the potential that we have as a group to get better far and away exceeds the teams that we're chasing. And I'm under no illusion that we are chasing those teams. But the hope is that that gap ultimately diminishes and then disappears and then emerges again as we pass by.
Craig, have we seen a metric change for how we define a defenseman? I mean, you moved Schmid out in the fall. Volchenkov got bought out yesterday. The Canadians moved out Josh Georges. Sort of the end of the defensive defenseman. Has something changed in terms of how managers and scouts evaluate defensemen as to what has become an important place of greater premium on puck movement, less on the so-called defensive shutdown defenseman?
Well, I think there's still plenty of room for a defensive shutdown defenseman. I just don't think you can have 2 or 3 or 4 on your roster and expect to have success. Offense is very difficult to generate in today's game, and largely it's generated through your defenseman's ability to skate the puck up, move the puck up, step up into open ice, challenge into open ice, and create space for your forwards. So I very much believe that puck movement is a vital component on your back end, and it's not at the exclusion of the defensive defenseman, but at the same time, you're going to need more puck moving capability than maybe you've had in the past, or the philosophy has been in the past.
Was there much, go ahead, Jones.
With Sam's contract, with the no trade clause coming in, going back, had you pretty much settled in your head that you had to move him at that point?
No, I've had good discussions with Sam and Sam's representation over the last little while. It's just, it was a situation that wasn't working terrifically well for Sam because of the strength of our team is really in a similar skill set that Sam brings to us. So his skill set would be better utilized on another team that's in more need of a player that is an offensive player that's going to get first minute power play time and so forth, and it'll allow Sam to be productive. And I think Sam, in everybody's mind, is a first power play producer, but on our team he really didn't get those opportunities last year because of the depth we have in that category.
Did you entertain or make much in the way of trade proposals today, or was it mainly free agent stuff?
It's mainly free agent stuff today. I think, you try and do your legwork and make your calls leading up to the morning today, not only with my associates, but also with the agents, but more free agent frenzy today, and I think everybody will take a breath tomorrow and then start assessing what happened, where the fallout is, who had success, what may teams that were able to acquire players, what the collateral damage would be there. Maybe somebody falls to us, maybe there's an abundance of position that we covet and we could do it.
You spoke to the idea of periphery players and support players. Was that much more difficult to put together than it turned out?
What's that?
Gathering,
The support players? Yeah, it's difficult because you come in here with existing contracts, and when you're at the performance level that our club has been in, they're tough contracts to move, so transition takes time. And a lot of times the transition has to occur when the contracts come off, and then you can redeploy that money into assets and players that are possibly better complements to the group that we have now.
So you've shifted into a different mode with that now?
I'll put it this way, I'm very comfortable that the core group that we have is able to deliver the most critical element of the game, which is dominating head-to-head matchups. And I'm very confident that group that we've talked about and referred to in the past is going to be able to do that. And now we start to add the component and the complement to that group that gives them the support they need. So if they don't score, we're not losing every game, and they're the focus. And now we can share some of the responsibility offensively, and we're going to be better in quite a few other areas of the game outside of offense.
Craig, can you touch on just some of the qualifying offers, I guess specifically deciding to extend one to Horak and Larson and deciding to let Benoit go?
Well, Horak and Larson were both players that were not going to sign their qualifying offers, so all that did was enable us to keep our rights to both those players. I think those qualifying offers are obvious. Taylor was a tougher decision for us. I had told Taylor's representation that we did have interest in bringing him back, but his opportunity may be better served in another situation if he could find that. With the depth that we have on defense, we don't want our young developing defensemen shy of minutes to play in our American Hockey League team. So Taylor was quickly snapped up in the open market, and we wish him all the best as well. He's been a real class act for our organization.
You guys do, just quickly, Gazdic, you guys do a deal with Gazdic. I mean, how much has he earned in the last, he came in, he got out of nowhere and really made an impact?
Well, he's certainly built a pretty fearful reputation for himself around the league, and we're all not turning a blind eye to what's going on to our neighbors to the south. That we're going to have toughness is going to be a part of it. It may not be the primary part of it for both our organizations, but it's the part that both our organizations feel strongly about. So Luke is going to fit in very well in that regard. He's earned this contract from us, and that's going forward. We all hope to be in a position that we can reward those types of players.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Thanks.